Hey, what's up, kiddo? Another walking edition of Your Father's Story. So, what do we got today, miss? Today, very good, appropriate question, I think, for today. Because, like I told you, I'd go through this book and I don't necessarily answer all the questions or necessarily in a row. I kind of basically pick out a question I think that maybe resonates with me, or maybe I'm having thoughts about at that particular point in time in my life, and I think it would be appropriate to talk about, or I feel like I want to talk about that. Makes it a little bit easier for me to do these videos, because if my mind's already there, I'm probably more apt to expand upon it and talk a little bit more deeply about what my thoughts and feelings are about it. So, anyways, so today felt like an appropriate one. Um, what's the damn question? What have I learned the most about in relationships? So, I think because so many. Well, let me be specific. So, if this question is about romantic relationships, maybe I'll go into that a little bit at first, and then if it's just about relationships in general, maybe I'll expand upon that. So maybe let's start with romantic relationships, which I'm definitely uh, obviously not the best at, but I think I do have a pretty good knowledge about that because it's not like I've been in a whole bunch of them, but I think I've been in enough to kind of understand. Excuse me. Enough to kind of understand myself and, what was working for me, what was working for the other person, what wasn't, you know. So I think the thing that I've learned the most about relationships, romantic relationships to be specific, is just the value in communication. First off, I think is probably key to any successful relationship, and I'm sure anyone who is in a relationship that's meaningful and key to their life or a big part of their life. I think communication is a massive part of that. And, that's where I've had maybe troubles in the past, is just not being a good communicator. That could also be maybe from my own personality because I am a little bit of an introvert. And so, like throughout much of my life, I've had a hard time communicating to other people about myself, or maybe communicating in a way that maybe people don't understand or doesn't really resonate with them. And, that's okay. I've learned a lot through uh, many mistakes, and that's all right. It's part of life. I think that's probably why I have a pretty decent amount of experience or wisdom to share in this respect, because uh, I do a good job of reflecting after the fact and figuring out, kind of what my part was, and I try and become a better person as a result. So, communication. So, being very, you know, uh, upfront about what your needs are, understanding whatever your partner's needs are, and communicating that and being very honest and authentic and genuine. Because I think when communication is really top notch, that's where two people can either come into alignment, or they can really realize that this isn't the right person for me, at least in this particular situation at this particular time. So I think communication, clear, authentic, honest communication is super important. Um, Trust, for sure. I mean, if you're gonna be with someone and they're gonna be, that soul that, you walk with and you communicate with on a daily basis, I think being able to just trust them with whatever you have to do that, right? You have to put yourself out there and completely trust that they have that no matter where the paths go, that they're with you, whether they're with you physically or not. Communication, trust, maybe expectations, clear expectations, not only from your partner, but also from yourself. Like, what do I really expect out of myself? And being genuine and authentic with yourself in that respect, right? Like, what do I need? Am I getting what I need out of this relationship? Because at the end of the day, that's the most important part, is your own soul, your own thoughts and feelings, and taking care of those. And so probably, like, I don't even want to say probably, learning more, I think, about yourself and really like coming to terms with who you are and loving who you are, loving whoever that person is, that kind of the deeper, more cosmic sense, that soul, I think is hypercritical. It seems kind of backwards, right? Like, how to be, if you want to be in a great romantic relationship, you need to, focus on yourself. But that is, like, if you really like deep dive down into it, how can you be of value to someone else and actually be in a loving, strong relationship if you don't love yourself first? You have to bring something to the table of value for that person, and it all starts in here. It all starts in here, and I think obviously I'm not in a strong committed relationship right now, but I have seen kind of the value of my relationships start to go up, and like kind of the level of my relationships, not level, but also like I'm looking for the right words here. The quality of my relationships have gone up as a result of me, Jesus Ace, as a result of me doing so much more self-discovery, self-work, and like really coming to an acceptance of who I am and loving who I am ultimately. I think I've had a bit easier of a time than I did in the past because like I wasn't there yet, or at least I hadn't started to step down this path of self-discovery. And I didn't know who I was, and if you don't know who you are and love who you are, like how can you be in a relationship where you're completely lost, right? Are you expecting that person to fill the gap, the void in you? Like, how is that relationship going to be any good if you're just expecting, someone to fill in who you are and to make you happy? That becomes kind of an external power, which, is going to lead, it's literally going to lead to unhappiness for both of the people involved in the relationship. I know for a fact it's led to that for me. And, even though, the past couple relationships, well, they haven't worked out, right? Like, I'm not married, I'm not in a formal exclusive relationship, but whatever. Like, even though those like romantic relationships have ended, so to speak, the relationship that I still have with those people, with those women, are really great and they're strong. But the ones, prior to, where I didn't do any of the self-work, where I didn't know who I was and I was really, grasping for who I am, like there was a lot of friction and those relationships didn't end the well, but it wasn't because of them, it was because of me. Like when when you actually like stop looking outward so much and you turn the mirror around on yourself, you know, we come to the realization like, hey, I got some work to do here. It's not you, it's actually me. And that's like a real thing. That's, you know, kind of a funny little thing that people will say when they break up and they don't want to be with their partner or whatever. But anyways, I've gotten that a couple times, and that's okay. Maybe that was true, maybe it wasn't. But I'm okay. You know, I'm a happy, solid soul as a result. But, you know, it wasn't because of them, it was because of me. And so that's what I've learned about relationships is it has to start from inside first. You know, you have to love yourself before you can like truly love and let in another person if you want it, if you want that relationship to be authentic and genuine and really go the distance. Um, so that's that as far as my opinions or thoughts and feelings on romantic relationships. Hey, Lonnie, let's go. This damn dog. Little maniac. Okay. So that's my thoughts, anyways, on romantic relationships. As far as like friendships and whatnot, actually, hang on. Let me back up. There's another part that's really important that I left out about romantic relationships, and I think this is really critical. I've seen it, I've been a part of it, both spectrums, is maintenance, right? It's not very sexy, maintenance. This also goes along with just friendships, relationships of all kinds. If you really want to have a deep, meaningful relationship, whether it's with, you know, a romantic partner or a really good friend, you have to maintain that relationship. And so what does that mean? Maintenance can be a lot of things. Maintenance meaning like, oh, okay, you know, with your romantic partner, like every week, let's just set aside some time to go have a date night. Or, you know, you pick this week, I pick next week. Like something to where like you're checking in at a much deeper level than just kind of face value. A little bit deeper than the, oh yeah, I texted you today, or oh yeah, I called you today. But like, no, let's spend meaningful time, purposeful time where I want to make sure that this relationship continues not only to maintain its current level where we have this deeper intentional connection, but that relationship continues to grow. I know for a fact that that's probably, not even probably, I think that's the most important part to any relationship. Like if we zoom out, like we have to have that connection with one another. I shouldn't say that's the most important. I think kind of everything I said before, they all kind of lock into one, right? Like it's like a, right? So we talked about, or I talked about communication, trust, expectations, and then maintenance. Okay, so zooming back out, getting a recap of all these important qualities of good relationships. But I just know for a fact that maintenance is one of the key qualities for sure. Because I mean, I do it with all my really close and deep friendships. I found the ones that have been more meaningful and deep and, sorry, bugs in my eye, more meaningful and deep. It's a result of, you know, both parties, both souls, like doing what they can to maintain that relationship, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a everyday thing or even a monthly thing or even a yearly thing, but checking in on a basis that's very deep and meaningful. Like I'm very blessed, I'm very fortunate to have many close friendships, relationships. And some of these, Sabra, like I don't talk to some friends for like a year, maybe 2 years. But, like when we connect, I'll reach out, like I send cards to um, friends and families during the years, or I'll just reach out and say, hey, what's up? How are you doing? Whenever we like ultimately connect, whether through a phone call, FaceTime, in person, like I'm very intentional, and so are they, that this is my time for you, and I'm bringing everything that I have of me to this moment. I'm very, very serious about that because I know the value of it both for them and for me. And I found that the relationships where I do really focus on that maintenance of making sure that we're checking in and we're maintaining a connection, like those relationships have absolutely like soared. I mean, and that's a big part of why I have so many good ones, is because like I bring it all to those friendships and relationships. And even though it may not be every day, every week, every month, every quarter, I make sure that they're there. And I let them know that I still care about them and that they mean something to me at a much deeper level. And, I think that gets mirrored both ways, right? They see that, okay, Casey is authentic, he's real with me. Our relationship means something deeper to him. And you know what? It means something to me too. So, whoo, that was a lot. So I think that relationships in general, certainly there's different maybe aspects that are different with romantic relationships for sure. Either way, just being mindful and aware that the deeper connection of our souls is kind of where it all starts, right? Getting in the same frequency, resonating at the same level, is really, it's a beautiful thing. And, we have friends sometimes that we go in and out of the same frequency throughout different periods of our life, but also like not taking it too serious, like seriously. Not taking it too serious, but seriously, that's a funny statement. Because we only got so much time. Like literally, we only have so much time, at least in this physical form. And, that's something that I've also learned a lot about as well, because I've had romantic relationships. They've gone down the drain for whatever reason, and I've spent so much of my life, so much of my time in the past, like being sad and down in the dumps and letting it crush my spirit and waste my time and my energy. And I shouldn't have taken it that seriously. Like I should have been more accepting that, okay, we're not, right, going back to the frequencies, we're not resonating on the same frequency, at least at this point in time, in this particular setup, and accepting that. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now, which I'm really grateful for. I would definitely tell my younger self that, it's going to be all right. Trust the process. Just accept people with where they're at. And I think that also has become very key to my personal growth and self-discovery, is just accepting that. Accept people where they're at, accept where you're at, and just enjoy your life. And I think as a result, kind of the aura that you emanate, that you put out to the world, people see that, you become more magnetic. Like I'm not trying to be all like cocky or anything like that. I don't have any weird ego stuff, but I really think that a big part of why I have so many good, deep relationships is just, here I am. I'm not trying to put on a facade for the world. I'm deep. I say weird shit sometimes. I put everything of who I am out there at any given moment. And I do that, and then the world gives it right back to me. And I think that that's part of like some of the gifts and the blessings that I've been so lucky to have in this world, is those deeper connections and meaningful relationships. So that's what I've learned about relationships. Okay, well, I think that's a good enough one for today. Talked a little bit more than I completely anticipated. I hope I didn't ramble too much. Hopefully there's some nuggets of knowledge or some good wisdom or at least some insight into your dad. So anyways, love you, kiddo. Catch you on the next one.